All right, today we are diving into something really different, a white paper that puts forward a totally new way to think about artificial intelligence. It's a concept that trades brute force number crunching for something with, well, a lot more finesse.
This right here is the core principle, the whole guiding idea. You know, think about a true martial arts master. Their movements are tiny, they're precise, almost invisible, yet they can completely control a situation. That philosophy of pure efficiency, that's the key to unlocking a whole new kind of AI.
So, this brings us to the big question that really frames this whole explainer. What if, instead of just getting bigger and bigger, more and more powerful, AI learned to be smarter, more efficient? What if it became aware of its own physical self?
Okay, let's get into it. This metaphor is powerful, so we're going to unpack what it really means to treat a silicon chip not just as a calculator, but as a body that can be trained and ultimately mastered. And this is where a new concept called operator intelligence comes in. See, most AI today is like a student who's just practicing a super complex, very rigid dance, a kata, over and over again. It looks impressive, sure, but it's often clunky and inefficient. A real master, though, they understand the deep principles: balance, energy, structure. They aren't just memorizing steps. They are in direct, fluid control. Operator intelligence is all about teaching AI to be that master.
Now, to really appreciate just how different this new idea is, we have to look at the old way of doing things. Let's take a quick look at how most AI systems actually work today. So on one hand, you've got the traditional approach. AI today is that student, right? It's optimizing billions, sometimes trillions, of abstract software parameters. It's a pure numbers game, and it needs absolutely massive data sets and just incredible amounts of energy. And crucially, it treats the hardware, the physical chip, as this totally separate dumb tool that just follows orders. It's powerful, for sure, but man, is it an energy hog. And that brings us to the new paradigm. It's called Operatorology, and this isn't just a minor upgrade. It's a completely different philosophy about how computation itself should even work. Okay, I know that sounds like a mouthful, right? But here's the core idea in plain English. Instead of tweaking abstract software code, operator intelligence optimizes sequences of physical actions, we'll call them operators, that directly change the chip's physical state. We're talking about things like its voltage and current. It's all about controlling the hardware directly from the inside out while making sure the whole system stays stable and super energy efficient. So, how does this thing actually think? This is where it gets really, really cool. Let's break down the mechanics, and we'll keep using our martial arts analogy to make it all click. What's just fascinating here is that an AI system isn't seeing lines of code, no. It's aware of its own physical condition, which is all bundled up in something called a state vector. So just like a fighter can feel their own energy level, the power in their stance, their posture, the AI is directly sensing its own voltage, its current, and even the physical layout of its internal connections. And its thinking is broken down into 3 layers. At the very bottom, you've got the basic moves, simple physical operations, like amplifying a signal. The next level up is all about strategy, combining those basic moves into the best possible sequence for whatever it's trying to do. But this top level, this is wild. It can change its entire fighting style by physically reconfiguring the chip's layout on the fly. It's like a boxer suddenly switching to kung fu mid-fight. This table really drives the point home. It shows how OI basically elevates thinking from simple reactions to something way, way deeper. Traditional systems, they work at the level of a function. An input comes in, a reaction goes out. But OI works at the operator and meta-operator level. It isn't just reacting, it's transforming the very structure of the problem and of itself to find a solution. And this quote, this just says it all, doesn't it? When you get to that level of true mastery, you're not even thinking about individual moves anymore. You're not thinking about techniques. You're just perceiving and manipulating pure structure. And that, right there, is the ultimate goal of operator intelligence. So let's bring this all home. How does this all build to the final payoff? Why is this fundamental shift from symbols to structure a potential game changer for the entire future of computing? So let's go back to that comparison we started with. Remember? Traditional AI is all about software, data, and probability, keeping the hardware at a distance. But now we can fill in the other side. Operator intelligence is about optimizing physical actions. It depends on structure, not just data. It's completely integrated with its hardware, and its logic is based on the physical laws of energy and stability. It's a totally different beast. And here it is, the knockout blow. The real-world applications for this are just huge. We're talking about computer chips that are radically more energy efficient, computers that can adapt their physical form in real time, robots that are incredibly stable because they can feel and control their own bodies, hardware that can literally optimize itself. This is the kind of stuff you get when you teach silicon how to think like a master. So ultimately, when you boil it all down, what we're really looking at is a fundamental shift in our very definition of what intelligence is. We're moving away from an intelligence that's based on abstract symbols and probabilities, and toward one that is based on understanding and manipulating physical structure itself. And that leaves us with one final big thought to chew on. For decades, we've been laser-focused on writing better and better software to run on relatively dumb hardware. But what if the next great leap forward doesn't come from the code at all? What if it comes from teaching the hardware to be intelligent in its own right? Is the future of AI not written in software, but in the martial art of silicon?